Good morning. So today is the feast day of St. Martin of Tours, and he was a soldier, so appropriate for today being Veterans Day. He was a soldier who had this conversion experience while he was on his horse, and he encountered a poor beggar who was cold, and he cut his cloak in half with his sword and gave him half of his cloak so that he could stay warm, which, as I was reflecting on that, I thought that's a kind of a nice understanding of, yesterday's readings of not giving from our abundance, but giving from what we need, right? He needed his cloak, and yet he says, well, I'm going to take half of it and give it to this beggar who's in need. And it's a beautiful example for us, I think, to recognize that what we have we ought to use. And so in the gospel, Jesus is saying, woe to you if you're the one that causes the little one to sin. So what we have can be used for good, but what we have can also be used for ill. If we misuse what we have, if we misuse our gifts, and it leads somebody to sin, if we misuse that with which we've been entrusted, and it leads people away from God, then yes, woe to us. But rather, if we can increase our faith to a point in which we say, Lord, let me use everything that I have, let me use everything that I am, that I can direct others to you, that I can help others to believe in you more, that I can help others to grow in holiness as well. And in doing so, I grow in holiness. But if we use what we have rather to build ourselves up, if we use what we have to increase our own state, if we use what we have to make ourselves more prominent, whatever, then we're not leading others to God. And so this conversion that St. Martin had, right, is after he gave half his cloak to this beggar. He was ordained a priest, he was ordained a bishop, and a great proclaimer of the faith. And so for us too, when we recognize that we move beyond our kind of comfort zone, when we step outside of what we know well, and we say, Lord, how can I allow you to use me for good? How can I allow you to use me to better serve those around me, and in doing so, lead them to you? And in doing that, how can I grow in holiness as well? It's important for us to always be asking that question. How can I better grow in holiness? Lord, how can I better do your will? Lord, how can I grow in a deeper relation with you? How can I get closer to you? Perhaps you say, well, I come to daily mass and I say my prayers and I do my devotions and I volunteer at the church and I do, all this other stuff. What more? What more? And again, I think of the widow from yesterday's gospel. She gave all that she had. It wasn't much. It's just the 2 little coins, but she gave it all. How can we from within give all that we are, give it all to God, and trust everything to God? How can we live our lives in a way in which we're not just living for the next great thing that the world has to offer, in which we're not just kind of going through the motions, but rather that we're really truly trying to give everything that we are to God, and allowing God to use that in a way that will bring others to Him. So on this feast day of St. Martin of Tours, let us ask for his intercession, that indeed we may always be able to do God's will in our lives, and that we may be an inspiration rather than a stumbling block for those around us who desire to grow in holiness as well.